Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another day, another vlog in Canada. I honestly love our hostel so much. Shannon, our hostess, is fantastic. We get a cute little breakfast every morning and I swear it's a highlight. Lately, Ness and I have been living off fresh bakery bread, cheese and gherkins as we're traveling on a budget. So having fresh fruit in the morning is everything. Today was an even better day than yesterday, weather-wise. The sun was in full shine and it was quite a warm day too, which was a great change. We had our Anne of Green Gables tour today, which we were literally so excited for. It's been one of the things we've been most excited for on this trip. We hopped on our tour bus and we were off to Cavendish, which is about a 45-minute drive north of Charlottetown where we're staying. Our tour guide was so good. She gave us a great insight into the PEI history and the history of Charlottetown as we were driving through the town. Cavendish was absolutely stunning. It's such a beautiful town. The Green Gables house was everything I imagined it could be and more. I could definitely see how the author inspired Anne of Green Gables house off of this one. The author actually grew up playing in this house as a kid, as it was one of her relatives that owned the house. The Green Gables farm is actually a 19th generation farm, which is crazy. We explored the inside of the house, which was set up just like it would have been of the time. The wallpaper was so cute and Ness and I couldn't believe how many rooms there were, and the house felt pretty small inside but so beautiful. After checking out the house, we actually explored further around the Green Gables farm and we checked out Lover's Lane and the Haunted Forest. We also drove to the beach where one of the scenes were filmed in the actual Anne of Green Gables movies, which was really cool. It was very windy and cold, so we didn't stay out for too long, but it was really cool just checking it out and seeing what it looked like. After the tour, we came back to our hostel to read and have a tea break. We went out and bought some groceries and decided to keep dinner pretty simple and on the cheaper side. I mean, what's new? We decided to try our hand at dumplings for a second time and hopefully we'd have more success. We purposely avoided any dumplings with potato because I wasn't about to relive the pumpling situation. But these ones were actually so good. We had some chicken and veg dumplings and pork and beef dumplings too. Then finished the night off reading and playing chess, which was really fun. So today we're actually driving back to Halifax, where we flew into originally. We wanted to check out the Beaconsfield Historic House because we couldn't check it out a few days ago as it was closed. It was the first day it was going to be opened. How lucky is that? We were leaving and we had time to fit it in. It was built by James and Edith Peake, who owned it from 1877 to 1882, and it was built with the most modern technology of the time. One of the most prestigious houses on Prince Edward Island, it has gas lighting and plumbing, so a flushing toilet. It also was heated with coal and had crown mouldings and marble lining the fireplace. Unfortunately, Edith and James went bankrupt 5 years after moving into the home. I loved hearing the history of the house and how it evolved over time and what has remained from the original design from James and Edith Peake. Our tour guide was absolutely amazing. I highly recommend checking out this historic house if you're ever traveling to PEI. It's fascinating and a great way to spend your morning, and it only costs $8 too, so that's a plus. Right after Beaconsfield Historic House, we actually headed on back towards Halifax for a 3.5 hour drive. The drive was a much better one today, heading back over the Confederation Bridge, considering last time I felt like we were being blown away. The wind was not nearly as gusty and the sun was out, so we had a much clearer view of New Brunswick over the other side. We stopped at a diner along the way because we needed to stretch our legs and have a coffee stop. Ness found this diner called Breakfast at Brittany's, which was really cute, so we definitely had to check it out. Plus, it was the nicest one of the choices we had to choose from within the area. Ness really liked the coffee here. She felt it was one of the best cups of coffee she'd had since being in Canada. It was just a quick stop and then we were back on the road. We arrived at our hostel at around 4:30 p.m. and checked into the Halifax Backpackers Hostel. Considering our last hostel was just so luxe and so beautiful, this one was definitely a step down. But we bumped into one of our friends we'd made in Charlottetown, which was a nice unexpected surprise, and that made the place seem a bit homier. We made dinner in the tiny kitchen, and I shared some dumplings with Ness and also cooked up some veggies because I'm honestly craving some real food at the moment. We chatted with our friend for a while, then headed downstairs to the basement to do some laundry. It was the smallest laundry we'd had around Canada, but at least there was a laundry. Charlottetown didn't have one, so we were on our last legs with our clothes, so thank God there was one. And that's all we did today. Ooh, this is such an exciting day. We're off to go check out Cape Breton National Park, so we're going to stay for a few days up towards there. There was this must-see bakery in the area in Halifax before we left, so we wanted to check it out, called LF Bakery. Honestly, this bakery was amazing. The choices we had and the amount of donuts there, I literally died. It was so great. Ness got a blueberry tart and mushroom cheese quiche, and I got a strawberry and rhubarb donut and a broccoli and cheese quiche. Dare I say it, I might even say it's better than the purebred bakery in Whistler. And that's saying something because that was amazing. We set off driving the 3.5 hours to Cape Breton, which was a beautiful drive. The sun was out and it was a glorious drive. I've been loving the drives around Canada. They're just gorgeous. There's so much to see. You're never bored, that's for sure. However, I do find driving quite taxing, so I was quite tired by the time we arrived. I was hoping to take a quick nap, but that wasn't on the cards today. We checked into our accommodation, and oh my god, guys, I'm obsessed with this place. I love the fact that the hostel allows us to check in at any time, and it's a house. It's a house with a kitchen. Oh my god, it's absolutely amazing and has so much space. We also get our own room as there's only 2 other boys staying here, and our hostess said she's happy for us to get our own room, which was so nice. Honestly, our hostess is so lovely here in Cape Breton. The kitchen is also so clean and so modern. Dinner's going to be good tonight. And our hostess Nancy gave us a map to the CABOT road trail. She was telling us about it and the different routes we could take and how long it would approximately take. She was honestly so helpful. Ness and I had planned to hike the Skyline Trail tomorrow, but since we arrived earlier than expected, we decided to do it today. Of course, we had a quick tea break before we left, and we had a look at the map to get an idea of where we were headed, and then we were off. The drive to Skyline Trail was about an hour and a half, and then the sun had started to come out as we were driving, which really rejuvenated me. I was feeling quite fatigued from the drive over. As we got higher and higher up the mountains, however, it started to get really, really foggy. It was the oddest thing. The cloud cover began to get super low, and we could barely see a thing. I was hoping it would dissipate by the time we arrived at the trailhead, but it hadn't, unfortunately. Ness was so inspirational for me. I was quite down about the fog, and she really lifted my spirits. I'm so glad to have her with me on the trip. We did the full 8-kilometer circuit around the Skyline Trail. It was a nice hike, very easy for sure, but what was good about it was mainly the company. Ness really made it for me. Plus, most of the viewpoints, if you were to do the full trail, are actually on the other side. So if you wanted to do the hike and just skip the loop and just go to the viewpoint and back, you'd see most of the views. The views were completely foggy today, unfortunately, but we'll try our luck tomorrow. That's the thing with travel, I guess. You just don't know what you're going to get on the day, and you just got to make the most of it. The drive back down the mountain was like chalk and cheese, can I tell ya? I couldn't believe how much the sun was shining once we were beneath the cloud cover. It was literally the craziest and oddest thing to experience. The weather was so beautiful. It was like coming out of the cloud and just seeing purely blue skies, nothing else. We stopped by the grocery store on the way back to pick up some groceries for dinner, and today I was definitely craving something healthy. I'm honestly so keen to be back on my normal diet again when I get back home. I got some veggies and sausages and just whipped them up together in a frying pan. I mean, typical me doesn't read the label, and I actually bought jalapeno sausages, so they had quite a kick to them. We finished off the day just video calling some family, and I chatted with Tristan too, which was so lovely. I'm really missing him. We also had a tea, of course, and watched the incredible sunset over the lake. This hostel definitely has the best view out of every place that we've stayed in Canada. This one takes the cake. It's absolutely gorgeous looking out over the lake in front, and the sun sets behind us, but it creates this beautiful pink hue in the sky. It was stunning. And that's all we did today. Woohoo! Today is another beautiful day. We woke up to absolutely stunning weather. We're doing the CABOT trail today, so the whole thing rather than just a section of it like we did yesterday. It takes around 4 hours to do if you were to just drive around the whole thing without stopping, but we plan on obviously stopping and doing a few of the hikes and seeing a few of the viewpoints along the way today, so it's going to be a full day event. So we hit the road about 9:30 a.m. Today's weather was honestly chalk and cheese compared to yesterday. As we were driving up the CABOT trail, it was such a glorious drive, and the sun was actually shining the whole way up. Thank God, I was really relieved. We started with the east side, so the same side that we did yesterday, because we did want to do the Skyline Trail again today and just try our hand at it, but we were only going to do the viewpoint up and back section as opposed to the whole 8 kilometers again. I was a little bit nervous driving up the mountains just to see if it had completely cleared, but when we got to the Skyline Trail and it was clear, I was so relieved and so ecstatic. I couldn't wait to this hike. It was so green and lush, and the drive along the coast, we couldn't believe the water was just so blue and so clear. It was stunning. We passed through some small coastal towns along the way. I can see why the drive is so famous. It's just breathtaking. So the Skyline Trail, take 2. It was so warm in the sun as we walked up the trail. It was such a different experience compared to yesterday with all the fog, and it was freezing yesterday as well. I was honestly in my element. I couldn't be happier that the sun was out and the weather had cleared, and it was just such a perfect day to hike. I really hoped to be able to see the views on this trip. It was one of the key things I wanted to do while in Nova Scotia. We sat and enjoyed the moment, taking in the beautiful view surrounding, but we didn't stay as long as we would have liked because we still had 3/4 of the drive to go. We walked back to the car and headed off, and we made another stop at a viewing point along the way. The coastal views were so breathtaking and the day was so clear. I just couldn't believe how lush the coastline was. Another stop we made along the way was at Lone Shealing Trail. We wanted to stop and check out this trail as we were driving along because it had 400-year-old maple trees. How cool is that? The trail was very small and easy and very flat. It led us to the Lone Shealing structure that had been built by the Scots when they lived on this land. They shepherded sheep and livestock, and they lived in these types of buildings around the highlands. As we drove further north, particularly towards the west, we would drive through patches of fog scattered over the harbours and coastlines. They'd really stick to where the water was, which was very weird. But then we would break through and it'd be complete sunshine again. It was the oddest experience to drive through. I've never had that before. The fog was immense and so thick we could barely see when we were in it. Then it would dissipate and be completely gone, and the beautiful skies were back. It was so bizarre. As we were coming to the end of the CABOT trail, we actually stopped at this incredible lookout that really felt we were in heaven, just above the clouds overlooking the mountains. It was breathtaking, and I'd never experienced a view like this before, and I'm definitely never going to forget it. It was amazing. We finished the CABOT trail at around 5:30 p.m, and dinner was so good this evening because one of the guys that we were hosteling with flew home this morning, and he left us some free food. There were potatoes and onions and eggs. This was literally luxury for Ness and I, so we had a little bit of a feast. I boiled and pan-fried the potatoes and onions and cooked up a couple of fried eggs and had them with my spicy sausages. Of course my mouth was on fire again, but it was still so good. It was a little bit cloudier this evening, so we didn't see that beautiful sunset that we had yesterday, so we actually just watched The Office, which was really nice. And that's pretty much all we did today. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for my upcoming daily vlogs. Bye!